The following is an excerpt audio text from Yogananda's East-West Journals from 1930, part of public domain. The illustrations are from Creative Commons, and they're beautiful pictures. I hope that the pictures help bring or add some depth to Yogananda's thoughts and words to the West. I will note that Swami KRIYANANDA asked Yogananda several times what drew all the people that had read autobiography of a yogi to him with the great fervor that they felt. And Yogananda said, that's because it has my vibrations in it. I believe that anything that you read, and I've seen it demonstrated, anything you read or convey to other people, there's a vibration to it. And I think that if you're a sensitive person, you realize that. So Yogananda had his vibrations in the things he wrote and said and created. These excerpts from his journals will help illustrate, and hopefully the pictures will help convey the essence of Yogananda's vibration. Even if you get a little drop, it can be good. The Oriental Christ by Paramahansa Yogananda from the East-West Journals. It published in 1930. He states, Jesus Christ was an Oriental in his teachings, and therefore his teachings were derived from the Oriental environment and heredity. He says that when you get into that environment, that vibration stays with you. And Jesus taught in parables, as do the great Hindi masters. Truth is not a monopoly of the Orient or the Occident. The sunlight through pure silver appears to be red or blue when looked upon through red or blue glasses. As well, so does the pure, undiluted truth appear to be different when expressed through the Oriental or Occidental civilization. So, as you realize, Yogananda brought the spirituality of the Orient to the West in the early part of the last century, and he had a lot to overcome. But now we are a more open society, except he did receive a lot of criticism. Yogananda writes, I can find very little difference in the message of Jesus and other great teachers. I want to tell you something. Jesus had to use the medium of Oriental civilization, customs, mannerisms, language, and parables to spread his message. That's why some of the way he expressed himself and the lessons he had for the people of Jerusalem and the Jewish people seemed so new to them, especially that he talked in parables. To continue, to spread his message. Hence, the teaching of Jesus, no matter how universal they may be, are saturated with the essence of the Oriental civilization. I am not saying that Jesus Christ learned everything from the great masters of India, because God never teaches directly through human vehicles. It has been definitely proven that Jesus was connected with the high initiates of the masters in India. In The Unknown Life of Christ by Nicholas Nadovich, the Russian author, tells how he went to Tibet hoping to study the Tibetan literature handwritten on papyrus scrolls. Because of the secretiveness of the lamas, it was impossible to find a trace of what he wanted. But by a strange miracle happened. Just when he was returning fruitlessly to India, he fell from a cliff and broke his leg, and was taken back to the monastery to receive necessary care. Tibetans are very hospitable to their invited or stricken guests. While the injured man was recovered, the head Lama asked him what he wanted, and he said, "Oh, read to me from the papyrus scrolls." Above here is Sri Ananda Moyamaya, or Moyamai, who was the Guru's guru. From my reading, it appears that all the great gurus would go to her when they felt they needed some enlightenment on something, which is an amazing compliment. So she was of the same era as Yogananda. Although the yogis from India are kind of timeless. In the picture above, a quote from Yogananda, quote, "There is a magnet in your heart that will attract true friends. It has been proven that we are electromagnetic, and most certainly the heart has an electric vibration that other people feel. And if you tune it to God, it grows even stronger." To continue, Yogananda said, "The great ones, like waves, bathe in the eternal sea and become one with it. It is disciples that make all the trouble and differences." And you have to think about the way different sects of different religions have been, just can't even describe, merciless with each other. And just recently, SRF trying to get a corner or claim to universal truth, turned around and did the very same thing. So it's going to happen. People become possessive. However, the Hindis and the Hindi masters shared openly. They didn't fight amongst themselves. Yogananda says it is the disciples that create the differences. They begin to create narrowness and bigotry. The pure message becomes diluted with ignorance. Humanity drinks of the polluted waters and cannot understand why the thirst remains. Only pure water can quench the thirst. The time has come to separate truth from falsehood, knowledge from ignorance. All truth and knowledge must be used to combat the black doubts of superstition, hedging humanity in the prison of unhappiness, that the mighty flood of truth may inundate the gathered darkness of the ages, setting the soul of humanity free. To quote Yogananda again from his writings, God is consciousness. There is essentially nothing in the universe except mind or consciousness. Yogananda loved the land in his new home of the West. He had two homes. His heart was in India, but he loved his new land and its open freedom. Yogananda continues, I shall tell you a few things which will help you. I'm going to tell you frankly and openly, without any prejudice or partiality, about the Western adaptation of Jesus. The Western adaptation emphasizes brotherhood, yet whenever you think of a church, you think of a band of secretaries collecting money, and different sects of the religions fighting amongst themselves for power sometimes. The Western spirit lacks much of which the spirit of the East can supply. Granted, the East is not practical enough. The West is too practical to be spiritually practical. That is why I'm trying to unite the two. They need each other. The stairway above leads to Sri Yukteswar's ashram. And when I first saw this picture, it really popped out and stood out to me as a beckoning. It has a very special vibration. You can see that it's very ancient with time. However, you can feel the upward momentum of the spirit just moving in this picture. The beginning of a 1,000-mile journey begins with the first step. So Yogananda would say, won't you come and take the first step with me? Yogananda continues, to understand Jesus the Christ and his teachings, one must sympathetically study the Orientals, their ancient and present civilization and religious structures, traditions, philosophies, spiritual beliefs, and intuitive metaphysical experiences The teaching of Jesus are universal and have been made adaptable to Western environment. Still, in order to understand Christianity, one must first take away the veil, the Western veil, and then take away the Oriental veil. Behind the two opaque veils, the real Christianity lies. Western Christianity is the outer crust, and Eastern Christianity is the inner crust. Oriental Christ always emphasized, take no heed of the body, what ye shall eat, what ye shall need, bread the men of the world seek after. Seek ye the kingdom of God, and all things will be added unto you. The Occidental Christian might say instead, take heed of the body first, that a healthy body temple ye may find God. Bread ye men of the world seek first, and afterwards seek ye the kingdom of God. He continues with the difference of the culture and especially the climate. In the warm Oriental climate of a bygone age, it was easy to get bread without much thinking or laboring, and thus it was easy to meditate on God in leisure and in solitude, whereas in the Occident, one has to think of bread hard and fast, or he will not have time at all or strength to seek the kingdom of God. Yogananda's quote is, under true wisdom is understanding how one consciousness becomes all things. This is a picture of Mahatma Gandhi. He changed the world with his Hindi religion and belief in ahimsa, civil rights. Ahimsa began the civil rights movement. Gandhi freed a nation from British rule with the theory of belief of ahimsa. It means you can protest but do no harm. Martin Luther King was a student of Gandhi. He adopted the nonviolent civil disobedience. It freed a lot of people in a lot of places in the world. So that was how a fantastic Hindi belief from Gandhi and the ancients changed the world. And it can still happen sometimes. Yogananda continues, the Oriental Christ and his teachings are suited to the Orientals and the Oriental climatic conditions. And so in our next reading of Yogananda's teachings, which can be dear to the heart as far as understanding how to approach your heart of spirituality. And we'll continue with the next segment in part 2 on the Oriental Christ